Okay, hello everybody. We have a little look behind the curtains here to something you may not have known happens related to every Living with Parkinson's meetup, but the panelists always gather, at least those who are able to, and you might notice that some people that were in this June 2025 meetup are not on this screen because not everybody can make it, but we try to get together and just talk about how the meetup went. And today, on June 19th, after the Living with Parkinson's meetup, we got together, and those of us who were on that debrief call, so to speak, realized we didn't think we covered all the things we really wanted to cover. So we thought we would record during this debrief call, give a look behind the curtain, and we'll share some of the things that we didn't think we covered to the degree that we really wanted to. And I'm going to just pass the mic to Stan to start us off.
Yeah, so one thing that I was thinking about is we didn't discuss how exercise can help a lot of different problems that we have. We've talked some about how we think it helps delay the progression of the disease, which is important, and but also it can help with mood. It can help with depression. It can help with decrease the risk of cardiovascular disease. It can help with insomnia. It can help with cognition. So you're less likely to have cognition problems. It definitely can help with osteoporosis, and it can help with constipation. So it can really help a lot of things, and not just Parkinson's disease. I think that's important to keep in mind.
Yeah, thanks, Stan. There's so many potential benefits that we didn't really discuss, and you listed a lot of them there. And I would just encourage people to make sure you consult with your care team about whether there's any reason you might want to be careful, especially thinking about cardiovascular issues that you might have already. Just that's a layer there, but it can help even for somebody that has a cardiovascular condition. You just need to make sure you organize yourself around the advice of your care team.
Right.
And Robert, I think you had something you were going to add too. I'm sorry, let's go to Larry first.
Yeah, thanks. What I wanted to just summarize in and conclude is, in my case, I think the exercise has slowed down the symptoms in my case, thanks to my intensive, regular, high intense workouts. The symptoms have been well controlled for about 13 years. In fact, I've done more exercise and completed more things with Parkinson's than before my diagnosis. I've run more half marathons with Parkinson's. I've cycled further and longest with Parkinson's, and I do some swimming. So I do regard myself as a triathlete, but only that I do it in different days. I don't do all of it in one day. But I just want people to know that the benefits are there, and the consistency is there. And in my case, that has helped tremendously, and I encourage everybody to keep moving for as long as possible.
So now I want to go to Robert because I think Robert's going to share some ideas of some of the things that he does to stay active and the different variety of exercise that is available that seems to help him. So Robert, can you share your perspective?
Sure, thanks. Yeah, we've talked about exercise in general, but what does that actually mean? And so I have my personal list of the type of exercise that I think is most important, and also kind of the easiest to start with. Now, as I mentioned in the main seminar, the LSVT big, and if you have voice issues, the LSVT loud, are both excellent physical therapy training to start with when you first get diagnosed, and then they both have home exercises to continue that will benefit you. And that's kind of the easiest, most basic thing that I think people should start with, my personal opinion. LSVT big and loud. Second, walking. Walking is the easiest thing. Just get out your door and walk, or walk around your living room. Rock steady boxing is not actually boxing. It's based on some boxing moves, but we're not hitting other people. But it's an easy program. It has a social component. It gets you out of the house and gets you mixing with other people. So which will also benefit. So I really like rock steady boxing. Swimming and cycling. I would like to be swimming. I'm not doing that or cycling, but I know that those are very good exercises to consider adding to your regimen. Tai Chi and yoga have both been shown to be beneficial in helping your balance and possibly delaying progression of disease. And those are easy ones to do. And then my last on my list is weightlifting. It's important that we continue to maintain our body strength. And so that's my list of exercises that you may want to consider in kind of the order in which I think they're important.
Yeah, and it's worth adding to that that there are a number of protocols. In fact, there's one from Daniel Korkos who we featured in a recent Live Well Today webinar in May, and there's some from the American Physical Therapy Association. The Parkinson's Foundation has some guidelines. So there's other resources you can find that give you some sort of big picture overview of how to find a balanced exercise routine. But the point of that I take, and I really appreciate for you making, Robert, is that there's so many different ways that you can exercise. And it's important not to get trapped in thinking exercise means going for a run. Yeah, what, Robert?
Just to add, for those of you who don't have access to groups, there's a tremendous amount of resources on YouTube that you can either do live exercise programs on YouTube, or you can do pre-recorded exercise programs on your schedule. So there's a lot of resources. You don't have to, like if you can't get to a Rock Steady boxing class, there's Rock Steady Boxing online that you can follow. So use your YouTube.
Yeah, thanks for that call out. And there's so many other opportunities in addition to Rock Steady Boxing that exist online. There's yoga classes, there's Tai Chi, there's dance. There's so many opportunities, so that's important to call out. And in fact, there's also opportunities in your backyard or potentially front yard too, as I think maybe Karen's going to share.
Yeah, I'm an avid gardener, and I was going to mention this. I didn't realize until after the debrief. You know, gardening for me, we have a large garden. We're hauling stuff. I just dumped 3 wheelbarrows full of lettuce that had gotten bitter and bolted, and I was getting to plant new things. I mean, we're carrying soil and mulch and cutting things. I'm reaching, I'm bending, I'm sweating. I mean, I'm actually exercising when I'm gardening. So um, I just wanted to throw that out there. I mean, moving your body in any way and finding some joy in what you're doing, because I just get a lot of joy out of that. And that makes a big difference when you're having joy and you're treating your body thankfully and living in that body with, you know, some purpose and a feeling of accomplishment. I think that helps my mental state and Parkinson's a lot. And it's something I do every day.
Yeah, I can echo that. You might think as a listener to this or a viewer of this video might think exercise, that doesn't sound like what gardening is. I would encourage you to just give it a try because I was also in the garden the other day and it was the most intense workout I've had in quite a while. Just the sheer variety of activities and positions my body was in and the repeated lifting. It was very dynamic. I think it's a great exercise. We have some articles on our blog, on our website about that. So we'll put some links to that in our description. But I also want to draw attention to another benefit of or another piece of what you just said, Karen, which is that it might be a way to help you remain or get motivated to get active if you're doing something that you really enjoy doing. And maybe that's gardening. Maybe you've not been gardening as much as you might think you could or you'd like to. Well, maybe that's a way to motivate yourself to do two things at once. You get an activity that you like to do, and you're also getting some exercise. And so maybe that's one way to stay motivated, which was the last thing we wanted to talk about, actually. The fact that it's hard to stay motivated and maybe offer some more tips as to how we do that. So, and I'll just open this up to anybody who has something they want to say about motivation.
I just think having an appointment, not going to my personal trainer, I just know I have to be there at 7. I said I was going to be there. And, you know, I keep that promise. So that really helps me having a partner to do something with. Like I played pickleball for the first time the other day on vacation. I was really intimidated about trying something new, but I keep hearing from everyone how great it is. So, you know, now I have an appointment to go pickleball with a friend. So I don't think that's a verb to go play pickleball with a friend. But anyway, so that motivates me.
Yeah, I agree with that. Pickleball wasn't even a sport a couple of years ago. Who would have thought that a name of a sport would be pickleball? But I think being accountable to yourself and being held accountable by others, I think is a good way of being motivated to keep going.
For me, I find that the motivation for me, I never was a real exerciser. Played a lot of sports, but I never like went for a run or did any real training to get stronger or anything to that effect. I do so much more now than before I was diagnosed with Parkinson's. And the reason for that is not that I like running all of a sudden. It's not that I really like swimming. It's that I can see what happens the next day. And so maybe that it doesn't really help me that day. I may even sometimes feel a little worse after an exercise, a rigorous exercise that I undertake immediately. But the next day, I've just found the pattern, and that really helps me. So I think one thing I would say about motivation is be open to the possibility that you might be surprised, because I was. Yeah, Karen.
I thought of one more thing about motivation, having something to train for. Like I'm doing a 5K in Berlin in September because my brother's running in the Berlin Marathon. And so he's going to do a training run and I'm going to participate in that. I'm not a runner, so I'm learning how to do that. And I know it's on September 27th. So I have something to work toward and a goal and a plan, and somebody's counting on me. So.
Yeah, in a way, even gardening is a goal, right? Because you had to get that stuff that you moved out of the bed. Otherwise, you can't do the next step. So you had like an external motivation there that was like you were obligated if you're going to move forward with what you said you were going to do.
Yeah, and there's a season, and you have to have stuff planted by a certain time, and you've got to clear the beds and that kind of thing. Yeah.
Dogs are great for that too because they need to go out.
Yeah.
Robert, I think you had your hand up. Yeah.
Yeah. As I mentioned in the main seminar, lack of motivation and apathy is a symptom of Parkinson's. It's part of the brain chemistry that goes haywire with us. For myself, it helps to admit, okay, I know I don't want to get out of bed, but it's not just that I'm feeling blah. This is part of my Parkinson's. Let me get up and do it. It helps me to kind of own what's happening. And there are medicines that your neurologist or your psychiatrist can help with that will improve your motivation and lack of apathy or apathy. So, that may be something to look into for yourself. And then I wanted to add to my list of exercises, Dance for Parkinson's. If you feel that you are very kind of incapacitated by your Parkinson's and you have trouble moving, the Dance for Parkinson's classes that I've seen are very appropriate for any level of ability. So don't feel like, oh, I can't, they do some of it seated. So if you can't stand up and walk, you can do it sitting in a chair, but it's still a social event to go out to, and it gets your body moving. The Dance with Parkinson's. And then I'll add pickleball to my last, the end of my list of things to do. And actually, I'm hoping to take up pickleball. I haven't tried it yet, but I keep hearing good things about it. There's pickleball for Parkinson's. And give it a try.
I can say that I participated in a research study about pickleball, and there were some interesting findings to that. And if I can find the report from that study, I don't know that it was published. It was actually part of a group of students, PhD or not, their Doctor of Physical Therapy degree. So I don't know that it was actually published publicly. But if I find it, I'll put it in a link to it in the description. There were some interesting things they uncovered in this short study that I was a part of.